Good morning to all the delegates attending today's Cyber and Data Security Summit. Because you have shared wonderful insights about LastPass and advantage of password manager. I would say it is really the need of the hour in today's highly demanded digital world. Good morning, friends, again. Now I would like to introduce two panelists who are joining me over the live fireside chat session. We have Mr. Jayant Gundewar, Executive Director, Advanced Solutions, Ingram Micro India. Jayant joined Ingram Micro in April 2021 and has experience in sales, marketing, and business development of IT products and service across the India geography. Prior to Ingram Micro, he served as Senior Director, Transformation and Platform Services at Entity. He has held several strategic leadership roles at Dimension Data, CFI, and Wipro, and has immense experience in managing channel partners, customers, and delivering technology products. And we have Mr. Vikas Malhotra, Country Manager, LastPass, to whom we just seen his wonderful presentation. It is a very important presentation because I'll tell you the reason. Vikas has over 2 decades of IT industry experience in helping organizations achieve substantial business outcomes by providing niche technology solutions. As an experienced professional in the information and communication technology industry, Vikas has managed and led partnership with customers across different verticals and diverse business. Vikas, to his credit, the success at Wipro, Dell, Symantec, Oracle, Login, and now with LastPass in India. In his current role, Vikas is responsible for building and leading the LastPass business in India and SAARC. The interesting part I will tell about the question answer session. To start with, I have a question. Databases are rampant even in technologically mature enterprises. Where do you think the gaps exist? Over to Jayant.
Interesting question, Deepak. If I go by my experience, I see that large companies and even mature enterprises, it is very difficult to prevent a hacker compromising an employee or a vendor credential. In fact, employees, vendors get targeted by phishing attacks, either by way of clicking on malicious attachments or infected websites. Now, although this may not be intentional on the employee's part or the vendor's part, but this is what is happening while the user accounts are getting compromised. Now, we all know that the strength of a chain is in its weakest link, and it may be people in this case. But only way to go forward, as I see, is to really have a zero trust framework addressing this requirement and have very tight compliance on the data classification. This is in correlation with the GRC, should have much better predictability on the risk posture and also a complete view of the entire security posture.
Wonderful. So I have a question to Vikas. And where do you see the large problem? Vikas?
Yeah, thanks, Deepak. And I'm absolutely in sync with what Jayant mentioned. And I'd like to, before I answer the question on the larger problem, I'd just like to add to Jayant's answer with some data points, right? So last year, there was a study that was published in around June 2021. As per that study, they analyzed some close to 80,000 security incidents across the world, out of which there were 5,000 plus confirmed breaches. So there's a difference between an incident and a data breach, declared data breach. Out of those data breaches, those 5,000 plus data breaches, which spanned from all the way from US to Australia, what came out was a startling fact that 80% of those breaches was because of human errors. And 60+% from that data was because of compromised credentials. It goes as simple as that. So the fundamental problem somewhere is the employee's unintentional ignorance towards his password, towards his credential hygiene. And our digital footprint is increasing, right? We have multiple apps for music. We have multiple apps for data, video streaming. We have more and more businesses are offering their services through digital channels. And for to sign up, we need an account everywhere. And what we end up doing is we have the same user ID, same password across all these channels, and bring the same thing to our corporate world also. Now, the larger problem that I see here is from a CISO's perspective, the ability or probably the lack of understanding on quantifying the risk associated with a data breach. Because it's a cost center. It's like more of, yes, we have been breached. He goes to the management and it's like, yes, we have a bad press. Okay, how much does the bad press cost us? We don't know, right? It could be millions of dollars. It could be hundreds, thousands of dollars. We really don't know. And the second bigger problem is the law enforcement, right? We have GDPR in the European Union. We have the laws in America. We have the law in Australia. From an Indian perspective, so far, we do not have a law which kind of imposes certain penalties around businesses when a breach happens. So this part goes ignored completely. So what if it has happened? Because the focus is on technologies investing where there is an immediate revenue outcome. So that's where I believe the two parties, the ignorance part and the law enforcement, is a larger problem.
Well, wonderful. Because if you can share, what is the key value proposition for LastPass? What is it for the CISO?
Yeah, okay. So thanks, Deepak. The key value proposition, and I'll just focus on the value proposition, is an enterprise level password manage, the ability for a CISO to be able to manage their passwords across the enterprise. Now, one of the gaps that exist is that normally it's felt we have a SSO in place, we have a multi-factor authentication solution in place, and hence the organization is secure. Let's go back to history, pick up some of the data, and see the organizations that were breached in India and around the world. And you'll find it hard to believe that these organizations did not have these mechanisms in place. The problem is that not every application in an infrastructure can come under SSO. It's just not practically possible. There are legacy applications, there are on-premise applications which are outside the SSO. Then you have the third-party contractors working in businesses. So somewhere it seeps in. And the way hacker thinks is the hacker is not trying to attack the senior most or the most critical users. They are trying to find vulnerability in the most ignored users, the larger population, and they just reside there and to make before they make their move. So for a CISO, it's the power to have a view of the password strength in the organization, how the passwords are being used, how the data is being shared, how access is being given. Think of it. We go on leave, very simply, we give our password to somebody and say, just approve whatever is required to be approved. Or how conveniently we have a list of passwords on an Excel sheet. The key value proposition of LastPass is password management across the organization, but at the same time, giving the CISO the view of the passwords across the business, the strength of the passwords, the weakness of the passwords, and then the ability to run drills to strengthen those with an objective to mitigate the risk.
Good, wonderfully explained, because I am sure CISOs watching the session has many questions for you. Okay, now moving on, I have a question for Jayant. What are your expectations from the partner ecosystem towards your go-to-market strategy? Jayant.
Yeah, I think from a partner ecosystem, obviously, I think the most important asset that they bring on the table is their solid connect with their customers, right? Extremely important. I think a secure discussion cannot happen without the trust between the partner and the customer. I would advise that the partners should actually leverage the things like assessments or consulting to be done even before you get into a point solution recommendation to the customer. Typically, I find that these are the pitfalls. You end up selling a point solution, the policies are not in place, it is not gelling with the entire infrastructure in the organization. So that is where the problem starts. I think it's better to first do a simple assess where is assessment, and then work towards a to-be status. What does the organization want to do in the future? I think if you do this, a simple exercise in the beginning of a conversation with the customer, it can give a roadmap both to the customer and the partner to take it forward. And then it can be a phased manner, because I'm sure always investments are a challenge, but we can do a very phased manner approach, trying to figure out what are the immediate vulnerabilities where we need to really attack the situation, and then what is phase 2, phase 3 in that journey. And security is never a single point conversation. It's a journey, and it's a full stack approach. I think that's where the partners will see a lot of value, rather than just selling point solutions.
Move towards the session. So while I have flooded so many questions, pick up some of the questions. So there is a question from Sandeep. With LastPass, how do we secure our password in the online transactions? So this is a question for Vikas.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Deepak. Could you just repeat that question? I don't know if it's just with me or even Jayant is having the same issue.
With LastPass, how do we secure our LastPass in the online transactions?
Yeah, so first of all, in the online transaction, before we even go to transact, the first thing is verifying ourselves through credentials. And when it comes to the online space, the first thing what LastPass does is it gets the user to open that particular application. Let's say I want to access my bank. So instead of typing my bank name.com, I open my LastPass vault. I put every application in my footprint behind a password vault. I open the vault and I launch it from there. And from there, LastPass automatically fills in my user credentials, which I don't need to remember anymore now. And every time I'm changing it, LastPass immediately grabs it and asks me that there has been an update. Do you want me to remember it? And immediately it will remember. If I say yes, it will remember it. So the first thing first, before we get on to the transaction also, is actually logging into that application, be it any application. So I hope I could answer the question.
Yes, you are absolutely right, Sandeep. Thanks, Vikas. Thanks for responding here. So there's a question for Jayant. How do you integrate the distribution network? It's a question from Sachin Tyagi.
Can you repeat that? I think I didn't get the question.
How do you integrate?
Yeah.
How do you integrate the distribution network of Ingram?
Okay. If I'm understanding right, I think he wants to understand how the distribution business will go along with the entire security consulting and all that, right? So what we've done at Ingram is we built a practice, very robust practice on security, right? Now this can be a big addition to what the partner is already doing. Like I mentioned, the partner's strength comes from customer connects and account management, right? Ingram will work very, very closely with the partners in providing some of these assessment services, or even the post-installation kind of device management services, remote services. This is something that the partner can leverage to build a business with the customer. We will walk the path with the partner, handling the customer queries, understanding what that solution is all about. Like I mentioned, security is never a point solution. It has to be a full stack approach. I think with Ingram and partner put together, we can provide a full stack approach to the customer. And I think that will bring tremendous value in those conversations with the customers. I hope I'm able to answer that question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the response. So there's a question from Guru. Can I generate a secure password in LastPass?
Short
Because
answer,
I
yes.
think you can take that.
Yes. Yes, Guru, you can do that. And I would encourage the audience who are there to go on lastpass.com and try it out for free. There's a free version available, which you can use across your family members, collaborate within them. So like very simply put, today, all my insurance policies, all my mutual fund data is accessible to my spouse, but without she having the credentials of my username and the password, right? So it could be shared. So please go ahead and generate complex passwords and secure your world.
Good. So there is a question for again Vikas from Devashish. Can you explain on the security part when we generate the password? Now it comes to the cyber security.
Sorry, what's the question?
Can you explain on the security part when we generate the password?
On the security part, when we generate the password.
Secure. How it is secured when you generate the password?
Oh, so the password that I'm assuming that what's the security, what's the strength of the password that is generated by LastPass, right? So
yeah,
I put it this way. The complexity of the password that LastPass generates, it'll take a hacker 8 billion years to crack into that.
Okay, good. So there is another question I will pick up from, from Sudipto. In LastPass, is LastPass is free to use as a secure password generator on any computer or mobile devices?
Yes. When you say mobile devices, I'm assuming what you're saying is the OS, Android and Apple. Yes, it can be used on there, and it has a web plugin for all the browsers. So across devices, across browsers, the free version is available to be used.
So there is a question for Jayant. What are the validations they are getting from LastPass for passing the services to the partner ecosystem, huge partner ecosystems in the country?
Interesting. Like I said, LastPass is one of the partners, right? And in a security ecosystem, there'll be multiple technologies involved. Ingram can provide a full stack of services to the partner and the customer of the partner. We are able to work really hand in hand to address these requirements. So irrespective of the geography location involved, a lot of our services are actually remotely delivered. So you really did not be there physically in a particular geography, except for some of the break fix requirements that can happen on the site. But largely it is remote services. All the I would say high-end technical resources are already deployed at Ingram to help the partner take care of any critical requirements that can come from the customer. Again, here the SLAs will be very tight because we are dealing with security, and Ingram is fully capable of taking those SLAs with the customers and delivering the service that is required to maintain those SLAs.
Jayant, there is a next question again to you. You have services over cloud. How is it beneficial to the partner ecosystem?
I think, like I said, see, services can be delivered in various manners, right? And I think today more than ever, services are remotely delivered. Cloud just becomes a via media because we're just taking the infra as a service from the cloud or some of the SaaS from the cloud. All this are elements to build a service. Finally, what customer needs is an issue resolution in a set amount of time, right? So that can be definitely delivered, whether it is through cloud or from an on-premise or dedicated setups also.
Wonderful. So there are many questions, but I will take only the last three questions in the interest of time. Now the question is for Vikas. How to keep your account secure across all devices?
Yeah, so keeping your accounts, so keeping your account secure across all devices, it's a very simple thing. With LastPass, one can sync the credentials across all devices. So maybe now, so when I access my bank, when I access Spotify, or whenever if I have to access a shopping website, e-com website, all I have to do is I have to access it from the LastPass vault. It syncs the data across, and there is no issue as such that if there's a device change, there has to be something extra that has to be done. So there's nothing of that sort. The data syncs seamlessly across devices and browsers. This is very much interconnected with the previous question.
Good. So another question to Vikas. Do you have any strong offering for the enterprises?
Yes, we do. We do have. Yep. So when it comes to enterprises, so we have different variants. And for the enterprises, we have the top variant, and all the details of the same is available on the website. But short answer, yes, we do.
Okay, the last question we'll go for. Can LastPass password manager secure today's high use of social media?
100%, yes. That's where it's very closely knit when it comes to the social media. Now, LastPass is about credentials. It's not about the content of the social media. So let's just get that piece a little right. On the social media, we have agreed that whatever we are posting is available to the network to whom we have given our permission. So LastPass is not going to hide or mask that. But to get into that social media platform from a credential perspective, whether it's from my mobile or it's from my browser, that's where LastPass comes in. Because as a social media user, I have already signed up that the picture I share or the post I put or the video that I share is accessible to the network whom I want, whether it's a public view or a private view or a selected friend's view, whatever it is.
So again, I will take over another question. We have some time left. How LastPass is secure? Can secure the mobile devices, as most of the guys doing transaction of crypto through their mobile? Is it can secure the devices?
So LastPass securing the devices, see, as I said, that it's about the credentials. It is about securing the credentials. So from the crypto exchange, from your crypto, if you have to enter your crypto account, right? If you have cryptocurrency account or your share trading account, what we say is that today you access that through LastPass. And from a safety of LastPass perspective, see, LastPass is a zero knowledge architecture, right? 100% encrypted, and it gets decrypted on the specific device only. So it's absolutely zero knowledge. That's, let's say, for some reason, a hacker gets into LastPass, it's so secure, the hacker does not find anything because it's absolutely zero knowledge, right? The decryption happens at the user's device, not at any other device.
So wonderful, Vikas, for sharing the insights. I would like to thank my two panelists, Jayant Gundewar and Mr. Vikas Malhotra, to joining the live Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks,
Deepak. Thank you. Thanks, Vikas. Bye.
Bye.